Hi there guys, this is Ben Jones from the Institute for the Bass Expo for Music Radar. We've had a look at the amplifier and how to get a decent sound out of it, but now we're actually going to talk about genre-specific bass sounds. How to get a really authentic bass sound using just simple EQing on any amp that you may come into contact with. So let's start at everyone's favourite genre, which is rock. Well, most people's favourite genre anyway. Rock is a really specific genre. It's all about attitude, it's all about big sounds, really brash sounds, and from a bass playing perspective, we have a particular role to fulfill. And that role is to have a lot of low end, but also we need to be able to cut through the mix sometimes to play with the guitar, with unison figures, things like that. Now, the easiest way to achieve that is to boost up the bass slightly and boost up the treble. But what we do like to do in rock is pull back the mid slightly, what we call a mid scoop. What that allows for, if you imagine the spectrum we had before when we were talking about the amp, when there's a gap in the middle of the middle frequency, basically, that's where the guitars can fit in, and that's how you get a nice full sound in a rehearsal studio and you're not playing over each other and everyone's just getting louder and louder. So we scoop the mids out, a little bit of bass, a little bit of treble. Now you can hear that warmth. It's really coming in. I'm just going to give it a little bit more gain. There we go. But still at the top, you're not losing that high note. It's still in there with the low note. So with like a rocky sort of line, fat warmth underneath it, and for rock, especially when playing with a pick or a plectrum, that is going to cut through nicely. Let's go on the completely other side of the spectrum now and talk about reggae. Now reggae obviously is nothing like rock. It's a completely different style of music. There's a lot of a different feel as a bass player. Now the sound for reggae is actually very, very easy to achieve. It's a lot of bass, so I would actually put the bass nearly all the way to full, maybe just up to 3 o'clock, 3 or 4 o'clock. Pull the treble right out. Again, maybe just a touch, just so we don't lose that signal completely. Let's put that to 9 o'clock or just under 9 o'clock. Let's put it to 8 o'clock. And then the mids are going to come down as well. We're going to have just a little bit. Again, maybe the same place we put the treble. It's basically a massive bass boost. When we do that, suddenly all that top end zing has gone. And what we're left with is a nice big fat warm sound. I'm going to pull the gain up. Now, because we've taken two main frequencies out, haven't we? We've cut the treble and we've cut the mids. We've actually lost a lot of signal to the amp. So we need to compensate for that by boosting the gain slightly. And there we go. The volume is now back to where it was. So if you think of like a reggae type line, there's so much bass from that, but that's all we really need. The definition doesn't really come through in reggae that much. Now, look at another genre, something like funk. Funk actually spans a lot of different subgenres as well, but the main idea of funk is a nice punchy bass sound that cuts through the mix. A lot of bass lines in funk are very, very difficult and intricate, and there's lots to be listening to. So because of that, we need to hear the bass in a really strong way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, first of all, I'm just going to boost my mids slightly. My bass and my treble are back to 12. See, already, you hear that growl. As soon as I turn the mids up, it comes in. Now, when I start playing a more funky sort of line, you're going to hear the definition of those notes a lot clearer. Now, although we've boosted the mids, it's a bit aggressive for funk. It's got a little bit of a zing to it. What we want is to warm that up again. And remember, with warmth, we just add a bit of bass. I'm just going to boost the treble slightly, just because I've pulled the bass in. And hopefully now, we're going to have a bit of a warmer tone, but still all that definition. Now, on the subject of funk, as I'm sure many of you are probably asking, slap tones. Well, slap tones obviously are some bass players' favourite things to play, but to get a good slap tone, we have to make sure we're not getting too loud. So with slap, what you want to do is, it's a balance between the thumb and the pops. Now, if you have too much, you're going to lose all the definition up there, and that's obviously a really big part of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to boost the bass up a bit, just a touch, just so you get that warmth in. I'm going to give my treble a fair bit. I'm going to put that up to about 2 o'clock, and the bass just past 12, literally just a tiny little boost. So now the thumb strokes come out really strong, but up the top, you can hear they're there, but they could be a little bit more. So I'm going to boost my mids ever so slightly as well, just to get that little bit more definition.